No. So with getting into the whole femcels versus incels kind of debate going on these days, I think it's important to kind of define the terminology. So it seems that with incels, they claim to be that they're, for the most part, they're mostly men. Let's separate the sexes. So incels, male, femcels, female. Male cells, whatever you want to say. And they are guys who can't get laid. That's what it is, Let's not get into the whole, temperament and misogyny and the hatred and all that kind of thing. Let's put that aside, because that's not all incels. Just look at me. But they can't get laid at all, no matter really what they do. They try to look smacks, and they try to lower their standards, and they try to work on themselves, and they try to just generally make themselves better people, and even change their conduct and their outlook and worldview on life. And even still, they just are not able to get laid. But with femcels, it's a different thing, because they seem to be they're still picky. They still have standards, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing this. I'll criticize the femcels, but I'm not criticizing them for this. I'm just saying that they're not able to have sex with the men that they want to have sex with, and they have these prerequisites for men that they want to have sex with. And as they say, as we can get into right now, I very unfortunately did some research on this topic, having a little look at femcels, a couple of YouTube videos and a couple of articles, and that's it for me. I really don't want to get more into what they had to say. But there was one on The Guardian, good old Guardian, where these women were saying, it said about one of them, although she would love to have a sex life, she is not prepared to compromise her principles by seeking a casual relationship with someone she has just met online. She says, I don't want to invite someone I don't know into my home, as you never know the risks. And it says here also, like Jane, Mary has little interest in casual flings, but misses physical intimacy. So yeah, this is really the big difference, that as I'm saying, these femcels, they have a prerequisite for what kind of man that they want to have sex with, and they're not, it does seem that women are not as interested in casual hookups in the same way that men are, according to the stupid article. Okay, fine, whatever. And men are just hornbags that want to go around and fuck like jackrabbits. Okay, fine. I think that's fair to say, because this is in the biology of both the sexes, Obviously there's differences. There are women that are crazy horny and everything like that, but this does show just our biological imperatives that we have and the differences between them. What I'm saying, though, it's just unfair that there isn't this one-to-one comparison that you can make with incels to femcels. It's not a fair comparison at all. I just don't like that femcels are trying to be all yeah, we're in the incel community now, because incelism really is just, you cannot get laid. And not just not get laid, but you got no love in your life, no physical intimacy, no casual flings, no dating, no matches, no nothing. I mean, maybe there's a bit of variation, and sometimes you get to go on a date, perhaps. Or maybe you get to touch a woman, you shake her hand. Oh, wow, that would be amazing. But I don't think that women are really getting the hell of being an incel, and I just think that this, the term femcel is basically, and the whole ideology behind it, and how they want to compare themselves, or just bring themselves into the incel community. Honestly, it's just cultural appropriation, and I'm not going to stand for it. It does sort of make me think, I think it's fair to make the analogy that it's like a man has absolutely no food, and he is starving. He really has no food, so he just starves, and he doesn't even starve to death. He just keeps starving and starving, and it gets worse and worse and worse. But a woman who's starving, this femcel, a woman is starving, but she does have a little bit of food. She has, whatever things, broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts or whatever kind of food, but she doesn't like it, and she doesn't feel safe eating it. And so she has the options, but she, whatever reason, she decides not to take it. Okay, fine. That's fucking fine with me. I can see the sense in that. But I'm trying to say is that men are different, because incels don't have a choice. That's the real pain of being an incel, is that we don't have a choice. We just have to live sex-starved. Like, I've seen femcels online even say, like, well, if I wanted to get laid, I could go out and do it right now. Yeah, I'm sure you could, because I really doubt if there's truly an actual femcel out there. I mean, I guess perhaps, because I've seen some women online who are, like, real messed up in the face, and they're just drooling, and they got some sort of very, very extreme autism or some sort of disability, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I still would. To continue on with this Guardian article, it's funny, like, the thing about this Guardian article is that they try to claim that the femcel community is much better than the incel community. It's like a vast difference. And they try to claim that, they're not misandrist in the same way that incels are misogynistic, but they really prove it. I mean, it says in the article, they say, misogyny is an ideology which dictates that women should be seen as objects without the same rights as men. Misandry is mostly a reaction to misogyny and informed by evidence. Oh, wow, what kind of shitty evidence do you have? I mean, the evidence that they have is just a bunch of crap research that they've done, which just takes, like, it's just done at universities where they take, like, men and women, like, in their late teens, early 20s, where men are, like, real hornbags, and they're like, I want to fuck a hot woman. But, like, after a certain point with men, they start, if they're incels, they start lowering and lowering and lowering their standards, where they're not even attracted to a hot woman anymore. They want a woman that's, like, attainable. And it's just ridiculous to even claim that, like, this is what misogyny and this is what misandry is. It's simply just a hatred of the opposite gender, Misogyny is just, it's bullshit that women, they can sleep with whoever they want. I'm not saying this myself. I'm not saying this is true, although it probably is. They hate women for, maybe it's not an incel reason. It's more of a normie reason, like, I can't stand these women and all their bullshit, blah, blah, blah. It's just that kind of thing. And then it's the same with misandry. It's just, men, they rule the world and they just want to rape and commit violence. And if not that, they're just, like, really shouty and douchebags and whatever kind of thing. Ha, ha, ha. That's what it is. Don't say that it's just, like, misandry is, like a truth, that there's evidence in it, that there's, like... Because what you're doing is, like, all the evidence and research that I've seen around just incels, or even men in general, is just taking the worst of men and then, like washing it over all men, And that is a total misandrist femcel thing to do. One of these bitches here says that the biggest difference between men and women seems to be that men feel entitled to sex and relationships, so it's the fault of women when they can't get it, says bitch. Women seem to internalize the issues and be more likely to blame themselves. Like, again, this is like just making this fucking contrast. Like, stop doing this. This is bad for the culture, just having this difference between men and women. Men and women are different, but they're equally shit. That's my philosophy. And I just think it's just bullshit that you're saying that, like, men have this really outward way or incels have an outward way of, like, dealing with things where they're just like, oh, well, it's not my fault and blah, 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 Or that, like, women just see themselves, like, internally, and they're the amazing, like, creatures of God working on themselves, where men just want to, like, punch women whenever they get frustrated. I mean, have you seen the looks maxing community? It's filled with these guys who are, like, plenty of incels, who are trying to, like, better themselves physically, losing weight and doing hair care and skin care and trimming their pubes and all that kind of thing. I mean, in this Guardian article, in the last paragraph, it says, of course, not all male incels are involved in extremist online forums, because every time you get, like, talk about incels at all in, like, mainstream media, I mean, like, whatever good that is, but every time it gets brought up, it's always just like, oh, Elliot Rodger and the Toronto van attack, oh, they want to kill women, they feel entitled to women and all this kind of thing, rather than talking about just the problem with, like, malaise and self-hatred. It's not, like, so much self-entitlement. I mean, I've been on plenty of, like, incel communities, I mean, well, not so much on Reddit, but mostly YouTube, And, some of the guys can talk whack and everything, but there is a lot of mostly just self-hatred, and they are, like, looking at themselves. But, they work on themselves, and they do everything, and they try to make themselves more social, and then they still are like, oh, I'm still not getting laid, I still can't get a girlfriend, This is all bullshit, And that's the thing, like, men are talking about, like, not just... It's like, they're saying I can't get laid, but that's not the main thing. Like, I want love in my life. I want to have a girlfriend, and I want a wife that can, like, give us our kids, But if I can't even have all that, then at least I can get laid, but they can't even have that. They can't even have just a crumb of pussy, you know. And with the femcels, yeah, they can get a crumb of dick. They can get the whole damn thing if they want, and it's not their thing, but fine. And it seems just from my own experience, of looking at these YouTube incels, they don't talk about like just the exact kind of woman that they want. You know, they talk about like, you know, I'll date anything, you know, oh, whatever, man. I don't have standards. I gotta take what I can get, you know. I mean, all this talk about like when femcels complain about incels being entitled and that they want like, they don't want to date an older woman. They don't want to date a woman who has kids. They want like a real attractive, traditionally attractive woman. They want one night stands, and they want a trad calf wife that they're entitled to. You know, it's not incels that are making these claims for what kind of women they want. It's the normies. It's normies, guys who are having lots of sex, and like, oh yeah, well, she's really just a 6 out of 10. You know, I mean, the woman I want to marry, it's got to be at least a 9. You know, incels just have a different philosophy to these normie men. They are not looking for like traditional attractiveness in a woman, whether it's just, you know, traditionally physically or inwardly attractive. They just want just someone to love and just someone to love them back. I mean, I can prove to you how like little research that there's been because Psychology Today, another fucking useless website, but another article that I read on there about femcels, they say on Psychology Today, while there is so far little research, if any, on femcels, the pink pill community, as they're called, appears to be vastly different from the incel community. Really? You've made that claim based on fuck all evidence? Fuck all research? Alright, good on you, you woman. But then they kind of mention, like, immediately after, they say, for example, on this femcel Reddit board, it describes its goal as looks maxing. Oh, is that the thing that incels don't do? Is that not like a male thing? Obviously, like, this whole thing with just trying to looks max, like beauty up yourself, is obviously a very woman thing to do, fine. But men are getting more into it now, not so much with makeup, but just skincare and losing weight and how to get abs and how to get bulky and being a gym bro, like being a Chad, that kind of thing, like that kind of Chad meme, but really now it's like it's not so much a philosophy, well I guess it is, and a lifestyle. This is what men, particularly incels who aren't getting laid, are looking at to improve their lives. Like, I guess you could be the kind of incel that just lies down and rots and like becomes a misogynist and blames women, but come on, like, what research do you have that this is like the vast majority of incels? I'm kind of just going off here, but I saw this on the same article as well. It just says, boys are generally taught to achieve and gain power, even at the cost of others. And it said something like girls are taught to be like nice and kind to like others for approval and that sort of thing, which is honestly how I felt like I grew up. But like this idea of boys being taught to like just gain power and take control over people, like we're being taught that. I missed that lesson. I must have been sick that day from school. No wonder I've turned out to be a fucking failure and an incel. Man. I mean, maybe if you're in a really hyper-masculine community where it's just all these men, you know, who are mostly in their late teens, early 20s, who are kind of raising you up, like, if you don't have a father figure that actually is, like, older and can teach you actual shit, then maybe, yeah, you have this, like, whole growing up aspect. You get into the whole philosophy of, like, wanting to take control over, like, not just other men, you know, but just, like, women in a sexual and romantically dominant way. Well, I gotta say, I don't know, maybe just speaking from personal experience, but I think incels are too pussyfied to go down that route. And there really just does seem to be this whole, like, misandry as well with the whole femcel community. Like, going back to the Guardian article, but one of the women says, she's talking about seeing a prostitute, a male prostitute. I didn't even think you needed such a thing, but she says, at least it would be a safe, secure transaction for which you and the man involved knew exactly what you were signing up with, no risk of violence, STIs, or emotional hurt and confusion. Oh, because that's what guys do and it's not what women do, you know. I mean, emotional hurt and confusion, I mean, that's kind of a given if you're getting into a relationship, you know. I mean, it's gonna happen even if it's a good relationship, you know. I mean, it's gonna come from either men or women. Same with STIs, you know, that's far less likely, but it's likely from men or women, you know. And then violence, sure, okay, that's a man thing, you know. I understand that, like, violence is mostly in the world only coming from men, mostly happening towards other men, but whatever. But it's really still a fucking vast minority of men who become violent and like commit like these sorts of violent crimes, whether they're sexual or not. So it just seems nuts that like it's strange that like females like looked at incels, they looked down on them like you know, and really like prodded at them. Didn't just leave them alone. They actually prodded them and bullied them. But now they're like, oh, maybe we actually want to be in this community as well. But they have to like force their way in and like distort just the truth of what men and women are and make it seem like, oh, women are so amazing and men are shit, but still trying to get into male spaces where we're trying to get in and vent about like whatever issues we have about women. And I do feel that venting is very important because, you know, let's just say you need to get out some of the rusty water before you get the clean water coming through. I don't think it's entirely a bad thing, and the internet is a good medium to be able to do that because it just gets thrown out there. And if you look at it, you are the one assaulting yourself. It's not someone out there in the public yelling at women. That's obviously an issue, but doing it online, it's just literally a safe space. Look, after all this, like, what I got to say is that, well, really, to quote Henry Rollins from his Rolling Band song Volume 4, he sings, "You're talking about all the hell you've seen? Man, I lived there!" That's how it is. Like, these women, femcels, I mean, don't fucking culturally appropriate our space, you know. Like, whatever, I understand. I'm not shitting on you for having standards. I'm just saying, like, that's what the cell community is all about. The incel community is just, no matter what you do and no matter what kind of standards you have and what you're even looking for, you still can't get it. You just still, never, ever, unless you fucking move a mountain and then maybe a woman will look at you. But anyway, to end all this rambling, I just want to say I have a solution for all this. Okay, real, and it's simple. Just incels, femcels, they need to get together and get laid, you know? Or at least, like, look, femcels, let the incels fuck you, but then, like, they will, you know, be nice. They'll be good company. They'll be nice. They won't be too misogynistic. They might even take you out. They'll have dinners and drinks and board games and all that kind of fun stuff. The whole dating, relationship stuff, you know. Why can't we all just get together and get along, baby? Huh? That's my hippie mentality. But unfortunately, shit cunt websites like The Guardian and Psychology Today and all mainstream media and all alternative media as well, like YouTube, like myself, are like dividing the genders, you know. And I just generally think the powers that be are looking down at all of us and going, great, conquer and divide. That's what we got to do. So, well done, guys. We really helped you out with all that. So, actually, what I really have to say is just fuck everyone. Like, I mean, literally. It's just, let's get laid. Let's go on. Let's do it. Yeah.